Good afternoon, everyone. Whoop, that took care of the banner. Good afternoon. We've had a little bit of hiccup with traffic this morning, so if any of you 4 people were on Route 8, it was backed up. So that's the reason for our delay. So there was a huge traffic jam on 8. So we apologize for the lateness of starting, but it's just wonderful to see everyone and welcome. Today is the last Tuesday in March, and it's hard to believe that on Saturday is the 1st of April. It's like, wow, where did our year go to? Well, with that all being said, I want to personally again welcome everyone being here. Thank you for making the effort to be here today. It's always a pleasure to see our wonderful Rotarians here. And we have a great guest speaker this morning. We're so happy to have Kay here from out at Portage Lakes, and she has a great presentation about the purple martins that live out at Portage Lakes during the summertime. So it's an exciting event. So Kay, thanks for coming today. So with that being said, if you would, if you're able, please stand and we'll say the Pledge to Allegiance, our 4-way test, and then Doug Hogue will do our invocation for today. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our 4-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it fulfill their advantage? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you so much. And Doug, please.
Thanks, President Linda. So I'll take a moment to reflect on the day, because this is another day, Lord. We don't know what the day will bring, but help us to be ready for whatever comes our way. If we are to stand up, help us stand bravely. If we are to sit still, help us to sit quietly. If we are to lie low, help us to do it patiently. If we are to do nothing, help us to do it gallantly. Help shape our spirits to make these words more than words, and give us the spirit of your peace and your love. We pray these things in your name. Amen. Amen.
I would also like to have you, for just a moment, keep the wonderful poor souls now that were shot yesterday in Tennessee. And it was very painful for me because I was a former 3rd grade teacher. And those little babies are so precious. So please take a moment and just say your own personal prayer for those people that passed away in Tennessee. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Karen was our beautiful greeter, and we thank her for stepping in. Mela got stuck in that horrific Route 8 traffic, so she was a little bit late. So, Miss Karen.
All right. We have a few guests today. Paul, do you want to introduce your guest?
Sure. I brought with me today Granger Kavanaugh. Granger is our operations and stage manager for the symphony. She joined us in November, and if you've ever been to an orchestra concert, Granger is responsible for everything that takes place on and backstage, including getting people there, getting the guest artists there. But 90% of their job is keeping our music director under control.
Welcome, Granger. Jerry, you have our speaker, but you also have Shirley. You want to introduce Shirley?
This is Shirley Workman, my very good friend. Shirley and my mother and I love classical music. We will always be down at an Akron concert. It's a musical concert. And we also love the Portage Lakes, and we're just very good friends. And Shirley is also here to honor Kay Lukac.
Awesome. Welcome, Shirley. And Yara is here, not exactly a guest anymore, but why don't you stand up and let us know. Yara, for those of you that don't know, is our Rotary exchange student. Just tell us how you're doing. Say hi, how you doing? School going good?
I'm Bruce Payne, and I'm Cynthia, and I'm in Stowe.
And where do you go to school?
Stowe
High School.
And where are you from?
Bruce Payne.
Okay.
Oh, very good.
Very good. Beautiful to have you here.
Thank you.
That's it.
Wow, it's always wonderful to have so many guests with us, so thank you. I also want to recognize Peter Rayson. Peter, where did you disappear to? Oh. Peter is our newest Rotarian. Peter, why don't you stand up? He was inducted last Tuesday, so congratulations. Welcome on board as our newest Rotarian. It's good to see you and have you here with us. So we need to be happy. So will you do it? Okay, Steve is going to build our spirits and brighten our day.
Well, I'm gonna start off with what you shared, and I'm gonna say I am thankful for this club, because this club is part of the solution that this country needs in standing for all that is good, all that is true, and all that is lovely, and making a stand against hatred and evil and death. And so I am exceptionally thankful for what the Rotary Club does, not just in Akron, but throughout this nation and throughout this world in bringing love and bringing healing. So that's my happy dollar.
Good. Do you want to
Anybody else?
collect the happy dollars,
I am.
please?
Who else is happy today? Julie.
I have 4 happy dollars for the Bowling Green State University Lady Falcons in the Final Four of the WNIT.
Oh, okay.
Very excited, obviously Falcons. And I had another horse win last Sunday.
Good.
Thank you. Anybody else happy today? Come on. Asiento.
I'm happy to report that my wife is finally leaving me to go to Europe to do a river cruise with her mom, celebrate her 75th birthday. So
Wow.
she's been looking forward to that for a long time.
Fantastic. All right.
Is that a Viking cruise?
You said a river.
It's not a Viking, but it's that kind of thing.
That kind of
In
a,
Belgium,
yeah,
Holland.
great adventure.
Who else is happy this afternoon?
I'll give you $5. I've got them in my purse, so I owe you $5. I'm really happy because last week I had an opportunity with my kids. So flew to Florida, i.e. the tan, and got to be with the younger son and my 2 grandsons, and we had a fabulous time, and it was so good to be on the water and in the sun, and thankful I made it and made it back, and the leash wasn't too bad. So it was very good. A lot of fun.
You doing this your wallet?
No, I'm.
I can spot you if you need to spot you. I do. I would enjoy it.
I have $5 because I got to spend the last 10 days couch surfing in Florida, so it was nice to visit with folks. And I had shared with you guys before, one of the people we visited with was my biological father, who I was just mentioning. So it was a really cool opportunity to kind of know.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Miss Jenny.
I have $1. I left my cane at home.
I was gonna turn the car around and go back, and I got in here with no trouble.
Good. All right. Doing good, Jen. Congratulations. Good job.
Sandy, to see you with your hand or no? Okay. Anybody else happy today? Okay, well, thank you, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much, Steve. I appreciate that. Just a couple of quick announcements. Don't want to have you forget about April 26th will be our Wednesday at the Akron Canton Food Bank, 4:30 to 6:30. So this is April coming up, so don't forget, 4:30 to 6:30, the last Wednesday, which is the 26th. And Terry is online, and I know that, Terry, I don't know if you want to say anything about the scholarship dinner? As a reminder.
The last interviews will be this Thursday. And then I encourage people to register for the event on April 25th. We have an outstanding group of students again this year that we've been interviewing. Two of them that we've interviewed last week are actually accepted by Ivy League schools from Elliott High School. And so again, it's a very impressive group. And our last group that we have on Thursday, all of them have at least a 3.7 grade point average. One has a 4.6 grade point average. So it's a challenging task to only select 3 from each of those groups.
Very good, thank you. Don't forget to register online because it'll be a great event. It will be here for a buffet dinner, and we'll recognize our scholarship winners on April 25th from 5 to 7 p.m. Also want to remind people to please sign up for our district conference, 6630, which is at the Cleveland Marriott up on Harvard Road. Reservations are also due, and that information is in our newsletter. And that's an exciting, informative weekend with fellow Rotarians, April 28th and 29th. So please consider joining us. It's a great 2-day informative fellowship event. And I received information, if you can believe this, we're already looking at August. August 12th will be the 9th annual Dragons on the Lake Festival. So we'll be out there. We've always had representation from the club. Brian Casarco is our lead captain. So if you have questions, please talk to Brian and put it on your calendar. It's August 12th. It's a full day out at Portage Lakes, and it's fabulous. It's so much fun. And it's more than 1,500 what they call paddlers and spectators. And it's for community camaraderie and competition. There are 20 teams that are competing for 3 different divisions. There's corporate, community, and breast cancer survivors. And Susan, you are part of the Ladies Dragon Racing that's also out at Portage Lakes. So again, it's a fun full day activity out there. And be sure and see Brian, but put August 12th on your calendar. We still need a host family for, correct, Susan, for exchange students. There are 9 inbound students. So Susan, you have an update on that?
I just was talking to one of our district students outbound who is going to Germany, and the host family that's going to host him has hosted somebody from Italy, from France, etc. And so we need to put some muscle in our hosting capacity here. The list of students that are coming in are from a variety of different countries. We'll have first choice as soon as we can find a host family. So if you know of a family that's in a position to host at least for 3 months, let me know. And we will muscle on and have an international,
Right.
international club.
Thanks, Susan. So it's a great opportunity to bring a young person from another foreign country here to be Americanized for a school year. So we have lots of opportunity here. So please consider. Sandy and Aragon, Ms. Sandy, do you have any updates on the grant committee?
I'm sorry.
Any update?
Oh, just that we're continuing to review, and the grant committee will make recommendations to the board of directors to make the final decision, and we're narrowing that down, and they'll get that for their April meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Sandy. Any other announcements that anybody would like to share this morning before I turn it over to Miss Jerry? Any other announcements? Okay, Miss Jerry, you're up with our introduction, and we look forward to hearing all about, and don't forget, Karen reminded me, Kay brought a Purple Martin board that was over on that table. If you didn't get one of the little red tickets, they're over there. They're right by the gourd. Please just put your name on it. Kay brought that for like a door prize for today. So the red tickets are over there. So please make certain you fill one out before we draw. Okay, Sherry, it's all yours.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Kay Lukac is the current president and co-founder of Portage Lakes Purple Martin Association. For 23 years, Kay has done it all, from building equipment to location finding. She's always recruiting volunteers, feeders, and members to help with record keeping. Kay has formulated many educational programs for students and the community and continues to teach the programs. The association started with 2 pairs of birds and now have a colony of hundreds with over 660 gourds spread out around the lakes. Last year, the association pledged 1,459 new babies and now have added twilight pontoon rides to the roost sites as part of the fundraising effort. So, Kay, please come up and enlighten us about our great Purple Martins.
Well, I thank you for inviting me, and it's nice to make it around the room and see familiar faces from many other organizations that I've worked with. And it's also exciting to know how many supporters we have here. Linda, for one, has had a Purple Martin pole in her front yard for many, many years and lives just a couple of houses away from co-founder Larry Hunter. With me, we have worked on this project for over 23 years. Now, I would also say I saw the folks from St. Luke's, and they too have wonderful housing for our birds right in their front yard that their residents get to enjoy seeing us work with. I would also tell you that I see the folks from the Symphony Orchestra. Having been a Portage Lakes resident for all of my life, it's one nice thing to be able to put what I already know together with organizations that really can use the help. And I am proud to say that I have been affiliated with many of these. I left some information on tables for you, but I kind of want to start at the very beginning. Right there, a couple of houses from Linda. We actually grew our own gourds. That's where we started 23 years ago. And we grew them, we dried them, and then we ate all kinds of snacks. Anything that had a lid that we could unscrew and that we could bondo fast to a gourd. I mean, we did it the hard way. There just weren't a lot of resources out there to be able to get materials that were already pre-made. So we pretty much have manufactured our own. We found with the natural gourds, trying to do things naturally doesn't always make it the best way. We had a fight from day one with the squirrels who liked eating the gourds as fast as we could hang them up. And then if you put them away anywhere over the winter where you had any little pesky friends, you would come back to find less than half of the gourds already deteriorated with chew marks all over them. So we had to work especially hard at the very beginning. More and more vendors decided to start making gourds. And I brought, let's see, this is one that we modified. And if you'll be able to look at it, it looks like it has a hat bill because it does. And when they sell these to you, or at least over all the years, the gourd itself was a target for all the predators that like to have purple martins for lunch or dinner, because while the poor little bird would be hanging here on the front trying to feed baby birds inside, they would just get grabbed right off the front by owls and even things like starlings that you wouldn't think about a lot. All the owl family, all of the trees are full of things that like purple martins. Now, we've done such a magnificent job. One, by the time they try to grab the bird, they can't because they run into the bill. And so that's an invention that we did right here in Portage Lakes. And you can see that we've had to make another improvement. The other little gourd you were putting your tickets into had just a small little hole. That is a tree swallow house. And the tree swallow is the very smallest of all of the birds. It's often mistaken for purple martins, although it's not doesn't really have the coloring of a purple martin, and it's very tiny. It's the smallest member of the swallow family, whereas the purple martin is the largest of the purple martin, being only about 6 inches when you look at the bird, but it has a wingspan of 16 to 18 inches. The catalog that I had help and that were placed on your centers of the table, there's a bird right on the front of that one. And anybody want to tell me what does it say that little bird is saying?
I'm 10 years old.
I'm 10 years old, and that is almost a record. I mean, I need to tell you that that particular bird came back to Conneaut, which is where Troyer's, one of the manufacturers of many of the things that people all over the country use to propagate purple martins. And that particular bird we know is 10 years old because of all of the processes that we do. In the raising process, we encourage them by giving them the best possible nests we can, by making them air conditioned where possible, as in, for instance, this apparatus that looks kind of like a plumbing piece is another addition that we've done. Now, we've done so well at raising purple martins. Typically, these birds would fly here all the way from Brazil in order to breed and have all their babies. And people think that, you know, this is a tropical bird. Well, they go back there to lose all their feathers and get ugly. They molt and everything falls off, and then they grow new feathers, and they turn around and fly back. And to surprise you, they come back to within 50 miles of where they were born, right here, Ohio. And I don't know if you looked at my shirt. We are the purple martin capital of Ohio. And it took us a lot of hard work to earn that achievement, because we have a lot of Amish farms. We have a lot of folks who have for years had purple martins, but the density that we have created around Portage Lakes, which is over 400 acres worth of water, and that's one thing necessary if you're going to try to raise them. Now, you were made aware that last year we fledged, meaning that's how many made it through the half getting eaten or mom and dad getting eaten and nobody there to feed them. And if we weren't there doing those kind of jobs, there wouldn't be so many purple martins. Now, believe it, in the original gourds that we grew, or this type, it was normal to have 3 babies, maybe 4. And we've done so well in raising them because we feed them daily. And the only way we can do that is with lots of community volunteers. And you might say, well, what do we feed them? Well, we feed them eggs. And an awful lot of people go, you feed birds eggs. Well, we feed them chicken eggs, but we grind up the shells off of the eggs, we mix it into a scrambled egg, and we spend a lot of time out along the lakes flicking eggs up in the air. Because the next part of the story is, these birds eat in flight. How many of you knew that? Yeah, okay. Now that's why they are the best insect fighters you can find, and why we encourage them to come to the Portage Lakes, because we had such a drastic insect problem going on for years. And most of the folks figured that their best way to get rid of that problem is lots of chemicals. And I don't know about you, but most organizations and community-minded people are not all about polluting this poor planet more than we have to. So those purple martins, the colonies that we have right around the lakes, and I'm telling you, this is thanks to scientists that have come here from National Geographic, say that our colonies of birds, as they stand, and remember they increase every year, eat over 100 pounds of insects a day. Now, if you start to think about how many bugs it takes, and I mean all kinds of bugs, not just mosquitoes, they love Japanese beetles. And most of us don't mind that they have those for lunch and dinner both. And I can tell you that because we do all this feeding daily, rain or shine, and we do that starting probably Saturday, Sunday. I saw 2 scouts today, and that's bad news for us because we have a huge amount of equipment that is still in the barns and has to be put up on the poles. If we put it up even a week early, it will be overrun with sparrows, English sparrows, starlings. They love to have nice new houses put up that they can decide to call theirs. And we do have to fight them terribly. So we try to watch for the scouts. And ours here in Akron usually get here on St. Patrick's Day. For some reason, it's like the buzzards in Hinckley. They just know when the celebrations are and they show up. But we currently have 5 to 7 new babies in each gourd. And I'd like you to think about if you put 7 babies and mom and dad inside this little gourd, and it gets pretty crowded in there. That's why we had to add air conditioning. With this nice little spout, the air that blows in through the front is forced to the top of the gourd and expelled through the holes that this is attached to its framework to hang up on the rigs we have, and secondarily forces the heated air out. And it has really helped us because before we added spouts to these gourds, and that was an investment of over $1,000 just to add this mechanism, a cap with a spout to every one of the gourds. We have over 660 gourds. And I go nearly nuts, especially many of the other things I am very involved in, including the symphony for 16 or 18 years as fundraising efforts for the symphony through activities at the lakes. And I can only say to you that it takes a whole community. And right now we can use all the extra hands we can get. So if you're available, just take my number and we can show you where to meet us to help put up more of the gourds and have everything ready as these birds arrive. Now, it often takes them as much as 2 to 3 weeks when they get here, even though we start with this nicely filled, not filled, but a couple of handfuls of nice, fresh, sanitized white pine needles. That's one of their favorites. Then the birds start on their own little search to find their mate. They do find their mate after they get here. So some of them are very aggressive. Last year was the first year in many that we've ever had as big a problem as we did. The girls might like it, but we had over 3 male birds to every female. So we had purple martins killing each other, trying to choose the mate that they want. And this is just something that was new and different that we encountered. And one of the things I like to help people learn is how to kind of identify them. This picture I'm holding up, these look almost blue, and the one on that catalog looks blue. It depends how the light hits them. This is a very enlarged picture, I might add, because the bird is only 6 inches long to begin with. So if you kind of glance at that, it looks a whole lot bigger than that. Now, the male always has the most color in the purple martin community. That's pretty much true of many, many birds, and the females with less coloring so that they are not as easily spotted and don't have as many battles to fight. Now, these birds have a unique situation. People look at them and think, it's like any other bird. When I said they eat in flight, has anyone ever watched birds that eat in flight? I mean, you see this, you see them dive bombing, skimming the surface of a pond or lake, and others think they're trying to catch fish. No, they don't eat fish, they eat bugs. They just stopped off to grab a little drink on the way back up to great heights. They fly as many as 5,000 to 7,000 miles. And that is because you got a big continent there where Brazil is, and some stop off when they hit the mainland first area, and others go clear to the tip. We have had problems all over not just our country, but many, with the population decreasing of purple martins. And a lot of that's happening due to what happens right in Brazil. They have been burning fields in great numbers because they have folks that like to raise cattle. And they can't raise cattle under the canopy of the Amazon. So they think it's a great idea to destroy the habitat that these birds all go to when it becomes the time for them to go back, lose feathers, and have to have a place to hang out until everything's ready for them to fly back here again. I can tell you that in the whole state of Ohio, we are one of the only areas that has year upon year increased our numbers over and over. And it's only because of the recruiting and begging for people to come help us feed birds, put up more equipment, maintain equipment, keep records on equipment, on what's going on every single week. And if you're around the lakes or you're up and down any of the streets, I think there was a sign out here. You might see these coming and going on various parts of Summit County anytime you get closer to the lakes. We gained our delegation, went to Columbus, fought it all the way, trying to get as much help as we could from the state. And they did do a whole lot of checking and counting to determine, as we told them, that Summit County is the home of more purple martins than anywhere in Ohio. So they gave us the designation, the Purple Martin Capital of all of Ohio. And that is something else to add to our community efforts. Whenever people are enjoying things like the Portage Lakes, they can also get to enjoy watching what goes on with these birds all around the lakes. We added pontoon boat rides, twilight boat rides on Nimisila Reservoir, because not only do we have over 660 gourds around the lake, we created a roost site. Now, a roost site means that we get birds from everything north of us, including Michigan, Canada, as well as even Indiana. It just depends which route they want to take to get back to Brazil. But that means most people are not familiar with birds that eat in flight. They don't stay together as a family. Once all a 30-day process is done, the birds get together, they have babies. It takes about 13 to 15 days of the eggs until they're ready to hatch. The little folder that you have shows a picture, which I have on the one down there, that the eggs, as they hatch, are not even as big as a nickel. We are talking, your thumbnail is a good example of the size of those eggs. Okay, so if you have 5 to 7 of those eggs hatching and turning out into 6-inch babies that are all in this gourd, they want to get out as soon as possible. The whole cycle from the time the eggs are laid, that 15 or 16 days, another 15 days or so, those birds are fledged, fully grown, and flying. Mom and Dad take them out and teach them how to catch insects by faking them out first. They eat and drop little morsels that the birds are like sitting on a wire. They've flown them that far, but they don't know what they're supposed to do about bugs. Mom and Dad drop these morsels, and they won't do it close enough to the wire. They make them have to get off the wire and catch these it's a wonderful sight to watch. And when it comes roost time, this means all those babies, moms, dads, they all take off and they head for Brazil, and they use many, many routes. When you think about having over 1,400 new babies, just from what we raise right here in Ohio, we're certainly doing our best to help, but typically only 2/3 of the birds that are born even make it to Brazil, and usually less than half make it back again. So that little birdie on that catalog that I told you says, I'm 10 years old. If you think of all the storms and the odds that were not in his favor to avoid all the predators that are after him and all the others. And this fellow was quite successful. The story's in the book, if those of you are interested. And when I say this to you, that bird came back and absolutely not only had his own wife and family, but took over a second gourd where apparently the male in one of the gourds nearby had deceased for one reason or another. And this bird fathered and took care of 2 complete families at 10 years old. So a very virile 10-year-old bird, and we hope to see him again next year, this season. But I will tell you that when you think about what they go through, right here in their very own little environment, without the bill and without all the things that we have sticking up for them to roost on and to literally make others with big wings bang into them and not get to them. There's pointed objects on top of our poles that help, them have a fighting chance to get away or get into the gourds themselves, and to keep out even the English sparrow, the very biggest predator, because they will go right inside and pick holes in every egg if mom and dad both leave at the same time. They will pick the eyes right out of purple martins. And you'd say, well, a martin looks bigger. Why don't they fight? Purple martins have a nose a lot like we do, one that you can move about, not pick at something like the ground, like many birds and so forth do. So therefore, they don't have fighting tools. And they do their very best to be out and stay in groups big enough so that they can see predators and things coming and fight to stay alive. But if you think that it's easy to even find your way 5,000 miles or 7,000 miles to someplace and then back and then there and then back, I would like to tell you that we do educational programs all over the city. In the month of May, I have all the 8th grade students that come from Coventry and Manchester, sometimes Green, it just depends on their curriculum. I will be teaching those classes right at State Mill Road at one of our biggest sites where they get to see baby birds, where they get to hold baby birds. And then we have a family affair that's absolutely free, and it's called Martin Fest. I actually have some flyers, and in fact, the newest ones haven't come. So they look like this, and this shows you that our 19th annual Martin Fest will be held the last Sunday of June. It's absolutely free, and it's the 25th from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, right there on State Mill Road, and that address is 803. Now, come on out, see everything, touch birds, watch us put bands on them, get to feed them yourself, do any and all of the things that we do. Yes?
How do you know this bird is 10 years old?
Well, if you look closely at its legs, you see one color band on its left leg and one color band on its right leg, because it has been banded statewide and federal. And there's 2 different kinds of banding, and we do this. And spotters with magnificent cameras and enlargement tools can read those bands, while they're sitting on a limb, on a gourd, on any of our things. So some get spotted that way. Others get actually trapped. If we see birds with banding, we try to net them and be able to, for sure, get all the details and do all the measurements, weigh it, all the things that go with keeping it healthy and knowing what the statistics say. I would also tell you that because it takes a lot of money to keep investing in more and more gourds and getting up more and more sites. We also make sure that not only eggs, and this year we've been really panicked. When I saw $5 a dozen eggs, I'm like, all my volunteers just went down the drain. I mean, when they're saying I'm not even feeding them to my family, you think I'm going to give them to birds for $5 a dozen? Well, thank gosh, I have seen a lot better pricing as of late, and we do have good volunteers, but we're always out there trying to do whatever we can to raise the funds to not only feed them items like the scrambled eggs, but to give them mealworms. We have feeding trays and things set up, especially in their bad weather. I heard that we're supposed to have snow tomorrow. And I said, no, our birds are here, their houses are in the barn, this can't be happening. So rain, snow, awful weather, we'll be there fighting to get all this equipment up so that they have a house to come to. Now, they don't all come St. Patrick's Day to now, because they'll come throughout the month of April. They match up with that mate of theirs, start laying those eggs, and that's why throughout the season, which is April, May, June, we have babies week after week that are being born, because those that get together, that mating season and the amount of days in between is all it takes for us to have a show to put on for anyone who's interested. We also do something as a fundraiser called Adopt a Nest. And what we do, every one of these gourds on a pole has a location number and a gourd number and a pole number, and we write all those things down. When people adopt a nest, they are adopting a gourd. We give you, when you do that, a specific gourd and a location, and you can come. We take these up and down, and you get to look in and see what's happening to your family and your gourd. You can take pictures, you can do anything you like, but it means we have a whole lot more activity that way. I can also say to you that arms and legs are very important to us, those volunteers. We would love to have members that are willing to help support the Purple Martins. We would love to offer our boat rides or any of the things that we do. We do have a website, and I have a gourd somewhere that the other one with the names and so forth. Yes, if somebody could bring me that gourd over there off of the table, I will be glad to give out a couple of really neat prizes to the folks that put your tickets in there. I would hope you'll take a special look at our own little flyer. Now, that is a tree swallow house, so if you want to unscrew that.
Did everybody fill out the little thread?
No, not yet.
On the way in?
Okay, well, let's get all those that didn't.
Oh, okay, well, we'll wait 1 minute for the others. I will tell you that these same birds that are eating up all those insects and doing so much for our environment are something that we can keep strong and keep adding to as long as we put in the work and the effort. We sort of spoiled these birds because they used to find hollows in trees and or natural gourds to live in. We have them so well educated that why should they look hard when they can find these beautiful white homes waiting for their presence. So they literally do depend on us to do the things we do. Mm-hmm.
2 questions. Who is the Purple Martin capital of the United States?
I have no idea. You will find that there are no Purple Martins west of the Rockies.
Okay.
They are only east of the Rockies. There's a variety of martin that goes in cactuses in some of the desert areas, and they're in the family of swallows.
Second question, you were talking about like sponsorship. What's it cost to be a landlord for these Purple Martins?
Well, that's up to how many gourds you'd like to sponsor. You can have one house for $50. You can have an entire community, a pole, whatever you'd like. And every Sunday afternoon at the State Mill site, you'll see me out there raising and lowering, letting people see what their families, what's going on in their little gourds. And sometimes you'll see me in Linda's front yard. I'm in and out and checking gourds here and feeding birds there. I'm anywhere and everywhere, but Sunday at 2 o'clock, I try to funnel in and make sure I'm there for all the education that I can give and for all the viewing that you'd like to do.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to pick one out of there, please?
Dan, where you?
You wanna-
Pick your name.
Can your hand fit?
Think I see you?
Yeah, come on.
Front and back.
Oh, that one's got both parts? Well, then that person doesn't have
Kinda
the,
rigged.
they don't have the part to claim it, do they?
Peter.
Peter?
Peter.
All right.
Okay, Peter? Oh, I need one more. I'm going to give you your choice of a wonderful Purple Martin adjustable hat, so no matter how big-headed you are, it will work. And I have also a calendar that has some of the most exciting pictures month by month, and a very educational piece on the back to learn how to identify males and females and second-year birds and third-year birds, because their coloring and their feather combinations change as they mature. And the older they get, the more purple they get. And so this is a fabulous tool. Would you like the calendar or the hat? Okay. And if you'll pull another one out of there, please. In the meantime, while he's drawing, does anybody have any other questions?
Mella.
What?
All right.
Well, you get the hat.
Oh, Peter, you want to give me the calendar, don't you?
Wow. What Rotarian spirit, I love it. I would like to tell you that,
I just wanted to say that I was able to paddle kayak during the August of 2021 to see all of the birds coming and eating, and it was awesome. So we were on a break from our Dragon Green team, and we were doing kayaking that year, and we went out there for the Purple Martins, and it's quite an event. I've got some great pictures of what you see from the kayak.
That was in Minnesota, right?
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
right, I would tell you that when National Geographic and Wild Ohio came here with their scientists and their photographers and the whole thing, they documented that, and again, these birds are coming from from Canada as a country and from how many other states, that there's been as many at one time when they were there as 30 to 50,000 birds in one evening. I mean, that's not what passes through. We've had problems with Akron-Canton Airport for years because they couldn't figure out, they would stop air traffic because they could not figure out what was coming on their radar screens. And the birds come and go in such masses that they don't even have flights that are going out right when the birds take off first thing in the morning, because it just kills their whole radar setup. And we don't want anybody banging into birds or the birds being ingested into plane motors either. But there's a whole lot of history and a whole lot of hard work that it has taken to make all this happen. But I thank you so very much for inviting me. And if you have questions, I have plenty of answers, I'm sure.
And material to take home.
Yes, I do have material on any of the things I've talked to you about. If you want the flyers, come on up and see me, okay?
Thank you, Kay. And here's our Rotary coin.
Thank you.
It's called Imagine, so we'll be imagining lots of purple mountains being taken care of by your.
That's very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to draw our number for our ongoing, whoops, that's 2. There you go. All right. 229540. All right.
All right.
Mike.
Very good, Kay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It certainly is a quality program, and I thank to you and Larry Hunter, when you ban the baby birds, that's so exciting because they lower the gourds, and if you have kids or grandkids or you yourself, you get to hold the babies and watch them put the band on, and it's a great experience for children and adults, not only that.
And it's free.
And it's free. And if you want to come to my house, you can come, since I have a gourd in the back, a huge pole. I found this interesting. It's a glimpse of Purple Martin's life cycle. So, this is kind of trivia, but some interesting information that was in the booklet. So take a look at that. And Steve, did you want to mention real quickly, you wanted a couple of minutes? Or, I don't know, you said I needed to give you, you're okay?
No.
You're done?
I'm good.
You're good to go? Okay. Any other quick announcements? All right. Again, thank you for coming. And we look forward to seeing everybody in April. Don't forget to come back. And the meeting is officially adjourned.